Right, so now that we successfully deserialized the place prediction result, the next thing we need to do will be to display the results on our list view. But before we can actually display the data on the list view, we first of all need to design our list style. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we are still here in the search page. So this is exactly what our list style is going to look like. It's very simple and straight to the point. We're just going to have a row widget, and inside of the row widget we're going to have an image widget, and then we're going to have a column, and the column is going to have two children which are going to be test widgets. So the first is going to display our primary test, and the second test widget will display the secondary test. I'm going to go ahead and fold up our container. Then I'm going to have a new column, and inside of the column we're going to have a row widget. So like I said before, we're going to have an icon. So this is going to be a location icon. Then I'm going to go ahead and set the color of the icon. Alright, so that's showing up. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and add a size box, and the width is going to be somewhat around 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a column. So let's go ahead and add two separate text widgets inside of this column. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and build this. Now the next thing we need to do will be to go ahead and add the cross-axis alignment for this particular column. So I'm going to set it to start. Okay, so this looks good. So now that our row is ready, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it inside a container. Okay, so I don't think we are going to need this. I'm going to remove this. Alright, now the next thing we need to do will be to go ahead and convert this into a separate widget so that we can use it as our list style, right? So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and click on Flutter Outline. If you don't see anything in your outline, you just simply need to go ahead and switch tabs and come back. So we'll be able to see the selected widget inside Flutter Outline. Now I'm going to go ahead and right click. Then I'm going to click on Extract Widget. Alright, now let's go ahead and convert the container into a list tile. So I can simply go ahead and call this Prediction Tile. Alright, so let's go ahead and click OK. So this will go ahead and generate a separate widget for us named Prediction Tile. So we've actually done a similar procedure like this earlier on in the course. So I'm very certain that we are very familiar with this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this and put it in a separate file. This is very important to ensure that our code is well organized. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new file in the widget folder. So I'm going to name this file Prediction Tile. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do here will be to import the material library. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and paste our code. So we don't have the outline icons imported yet, as well as the brand colors. So I'm going to go ahead and simply try to rewrite this so that the package will be automatically imported for us. So I'm going to do the same thing for our brand colors as well. Okay, so everything seems to be properly resolved. Now the next thing we need to do will be to make the prediction tile to be custom. So all we need to do will be to pass in an instance of the prediction class whenever this widget is being created, and we all know that we are going to be making use of this tile inside the list view. So here I'm going to have final prediction. So I'm going to call this prediction. Now the next thing we need to do will be to have a constructor. So the constructor will enable us to receive an instance of prediction. So instead of us having the main test and the secondary test already written, we are going to go ahead and get the values from the prediction object. So here I'm going to have prediction dot main test, and then I'm going to have prediction dot secondary test. So now that we have that out of the way, we're going to return back to the search page. We're going to try to set up our list view. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the prediction tile here. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and create a new instance of list of predictions. So here I'm going to have list of predictions. So I'm going to call this list destination prediction list. Alright, so this is going to be equal to an empty list. So as soon as we successfully retrieve some predictions, I'm going to go ahead and say destination will be equal to this list. So what we have in mind is that our list view is going to be getting its data from the destination prediction list. So we know that as we provide different search query, the content of the prediction list will obviously be changing. So we'll also want to go ahead and update our list. And how to do that is simply by calling the setState method. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this line of code inside the setState method. So this will go ahead and update our list. So to proceed, we are going to go ahead and set up the list indeed. So I'm going to scroll down. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up our list view here. Just as the name goes, the separated list view has, the tiny divider lines separating the content of the list view. So we're going to go ahead and provide the item builder. So here I'm going to have context and index, and then we're going to go ahead and return. So we're going to return an instance of the prediction tile. Alright, so for each prediction tile, we need to pass in a prediction. So the prediction is going to come from destination prediction list, and we're going to pass the index of the item. Now the next thing we need to do will be to set up the separator. So I'm going to have build context. So our separator builder is going to return a brand divider. Okay, so this will suffice. Now the next thing we need to do will be to set the item count. So the item count is going to come from destination prediction list.length. So this is basically all that we need to do. Now other attributes that we might want to set might be the shrink wrap. So these are all the attributes of a list view. And then we're going to go ahead and set the scrolling physics. So this is going to be a clamping scrolling physics. So this is basically all that we need to do to set up our list view. But to ensure that we don't run into any errors, we only want our list view to show up when the destination prediction list contains some items. So we are going to go ahead and put a check first to confirm that we have some items inside of our destination prediction list. So here I can easily go ahead and say destination prediction list.length is greater than 0. So if this is the case, we're going to go ahead and display our list view. Then if this is not the case, we can go ahead and just display a container. Okay, so this is basically all that we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and use Ctrl S to hot reload. Now we're going to go ahead and try to perform a search. And bam, so our list is showing, but it doesn't really look good yet. So let's go ahead and see how to fix this up. So firstly, we need to go ahead and remove the inner padding of the list view. So here I'm going to have padding, edge insert dot all. I'm going to set this to 0. So let's hit hot reload and see what we have here. Alright, so we are making progress. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the list view inside of a padding widget. And the padding is going to be symmetric. So vertical is going to be 8 and horizontal is going to be 16. Alright, so we are making some progress. Now the next thing we need to do will be to go ahead and make some edits inside of our prediction tile, just to ensure that our design looks good. So what we can do here is to go ahead and wrap our row widget inside the column. So inside of the column we can go ahead and add a size box. So the height is going to be 8. And also I will do the same thing on the down part of the column. So now let's go ahead and build. So as you can see, our prediction results now looks exactly the way we have it in mind. So this really looks beautiful. So let's go ahead and try to perform more search and see what happens here. So if I decide to provide new query, let's say I search for oval, close. So you can see, that change. Alright, so we need to actually resolve this error that we see here. So it's something very simple that we just need to, add to our text widget. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down and make some adjustment to the text widget. So what are we going to do? So we're simply going to add a text overflow to this text widget. So I can simply go ahead and have overflow, and the overflow is going to be text overflow dot ellipse, and then I'm going to go ahead and set the mask lines to 1. And finally, we need to go ahead and wrap our column inside an expanded widget. So I'm going to go ahead and add an expanded. Okay, so now let's go ahead and rebuild. And bam! So we no longer have that error. So as you can see, the ellipse has now been added. So we can go ahead and do the same thing for our secondary test. Alright, so let's go ahead and perform more search. So I really like the way this thing works. Like, it's so fun to perform search here. Okay, so successfully been able to display our prediction results in the list view. Now the next thing we need to do is to make the list view clickable. So we want to be able to select each of the items on the prediction list and also go ahead and retrieve more details and information about this particular place. So that's exactly what we are going to be doing in our next lesson. So as soon as you're ready, head over to the next lecture so we can get started.